How are you? My name is Scott Satterfield, and I am a small business owner here in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Uh, right now, my wife and I, we own our second business, which is the Gypsy Bean Coffee Shop. But I really want to talk about our first business, which was Limelight. It was a screen printing business. And so we made T-shirts, we screen printed T-shirts, we did embroidered items and promotional products for other businesses, and we helped organizations and families and individuals with their promotional efforts. And up until that point, I had been in church ministry and had never been in business. And when I started, I really started not knowing much of anything, frankly, other than I thought it would be good to print some T-shirts. I thought that there were people out there who'd be willing to buy them, and we thought we had some idea of what would be, a cool concept to make that happen. And so yeah, that's sort of why we started. I had always been a buyer of shirts, and so I knew there was a market for it. And so when we decided to get together, I reached out to people who were better than I was in some of these areas. I reached out to a lawyer who maybe could help me organize all of my initial startup for my documentation, things like incorporation, articles of incorporation, and understanding which suited me best for the nature of what I was trying to do. We were an S corp, which was there was a little bit more involved in that, but in the long run, it ended up being the best fit for me. A lot of times, small business owners can just be a sole proprietorship and operate their personal and their business through their same accounts. But in my case, we had it all separated, and then we started down that journey. We did a lot of studying of how to make the things we were trying to make or trying to sell, and then how to sell the things we were trying to sell. And both of those were important, parts of our process. We learned over time that there were certain customers who were going to spend more and order more, and so those tended to be over time the customers we started to gear our focus towards and our marketing towards. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. And I think the biggest takeaway that I had from that journey, especially that first one, is that very few things go exactly like you plan, and it is a lot of work, right? And learning, I think the biggest discovery for me was that, oh my gosh, there is no other line of defense. If, you're the last line when you're the owner, and so the responsibility of that was new. And when we started to hire people, that was a new responsibility and obligation. And so I think that certainly drove a lot of the attitudes of being in business. Now, what I've learned since is an awful lot. Like, you don't have to do these things by yourself. Is one of the key things I would recommend. The Small Business Center of Wayne County, the Wayne County Library, the Downtown Goldsboro Development Office, all of these, the Wayne County Chamber of Commerce, all of these entities exist to lift you up. They exist to help equip you with the skills that you may need or help you become aware of questions that you need to be thinking about as you're wanting to go into business. Every business doesn't need to be in a building, for example. What is your digital strategy, for example, or how much have you thought about marketing? I remember when the Small Business Center director told me, everybody always underestimates how much it takes to market your business, and I've found that to only be true. It's very true. Most people, when they have a little bit of success, they assume that everybody knows who they are and where they are. But the truth is, most people don't know. And so and learning that even again with our coffee shop, downtown, is that, hey, look, just because you may have 2,000 people who've connected to your Facebook page, that's not a lot when you think about the 110,000 people or so that are in Wayne County. And so it's just trying to sort of orient your mind as an entrepreneur to understand the scope of what you're trying to do, and to surround yourself with people who will help you do that. And they'll be honest with you about what's next and about how to get there. And because there's a lot of people who, they're not trying to make money off of you, they're here to help you. And I would find those people, and I would find them quickly, so that you can orient your business the way it needs to be oriented, as far as legally and structurally, but also strategically. How are you going to deliver what it is you're trying to do? Is there a market for what you're trying to do? How are you telling people about what you are doing? All of those things are very, very crucial. And you're the indispensable part of that. And that's the beautiful part of your business, whatever it may be, your dream, whatever it may be. You're the only you the world's got. And so your unique offering in that way is what's going to make the difference. And so I want to encourage you in that, believe in that, embrace that, because whatever it is you're bringing to the table is what's going to be key to the viability of what you do long term. The hardest thing about starting a business was probably, frankly, there was a lot of hard things. Number one, there was a lot that I didn't know, and I didn't know that I didn't know. And so I was in a discovery mode for a good portion of my time, still in a discovery mode. I think that was crucial. I also think that capital and the lack of access to capital. I mean, money is very difficult to come by. And if you don't have it in your pocket, if you didn't come from money, most people think that people who own businesses have all the time in the world and all the money in the world. And the truth of the matter is if you own a small business, especially early on, you have neither. You don't have time because it's all wrapped up in that business, and you don't have money because it's all wrapped up in that business. Everything you have personally is sort of put in play, and you can't rely on banks to fund your ideas or to fund your concepts or your dreams. And so you can be creative if you have investors or partnerships and that sort of thing. But for the most part, you have to sort of accept that it's your money that's at stake. And I found that to be very motivating, but also difficult. And so it provides obstacles to growth, because once you realize how you can be successful, and you're doing a thing, you could do more of that if maybe you had more equipment, or maybe you had more people working for you. But you can't do that if you don't have sort of money to hire or money to acquire. So I would say the lack of access to capital, and I think that's a pretty wide, that's most people who are starting businesses. And then just the learning curve. Those were probably the two hardest things. Yeah.